Okay, hi everybody. So today we're going to take a look at adjectives in French. And adjectives can be really tricky because in French we have so much masculine and feminine and plural, singular stuff going on. And adjectives, they describe the nouns. And so any noun that has, every noun has a gender. And so every adjective then has to match that gender. So it can be kind of tricky. In French, we have three different, let's just say, kinds of adjectives. We have some adjectives that look the exact same, whether you're describing a boy or a girl. So we have, for example, the word honest in French. If I'm a girl, I don't have to add anything to it. If I'm a boy, I don't have to add anything to it. I just simply use the word in conjunction with my adjective, and then it's complete. So, for example, if I want to say the honest boy, I'm going to say honnête, and if I want to say the honest girl, I say honnête, and I don't have to add anything else to it. So it's quite nice. We then have another middle row of column, another group of adjectives, where if it's a boy, we don't change anything to it, and if it's for a girl, we have to add an E. And again, there's really not a whole lot of rhyme or reason as to what makes one word the same for boys and girls, and what makes one word the boys get no special treatment and the girls get an extra E. So, for example, in all of the words on the left-hand side, all of the words that I have here compiled to show like the ones that are for boys and girls, they all end in an E randomly. So some examples are like propre, pauvre, rare, terrible, honnête, digne, rouge, efficace. Like they all end in an E. So what's really tricky is that the middle row is if it's feminine, then you add an E. So already it's like, well, if it ends in an E, is it okay for everyone, or is it only okay for girls? And that unfortunately is something that you just have to, if you look up in the dictionary and it already ends in an E, then you can think, okay, good, I can use it for boys and girls. But if you look it up in the dictionary and it doesn't already end in an E, then if you're adding an E, it's only for girls. So again, all of the words in here in the middle column, if you're a boy, then you don't add anything, and if you're a girl, you get an extra E. So say, for example, the word is grand, like big. If I wanted to say the big boy, le grand garçon, but if I wanted to say the big girl, la grande fille, and then with the boy, and then with the girl, we have another E on the end of grand. So we, la grande, and then boy is just no extra E. We then have a third column, and this third column over here is really tricky because there's not a whole lot of rhyme or reason as to why it's one pattern or another pattern. So, for example, we have some words like the word public, so public, like it's P-U-B-L-I-C if you're a boy, but then public, we get rid of the C and then put in Q-U-E if you're a girl. And again, like there's nothing about the letters specifically that are clearly feminine or clearly masculine, so why they decided that some words that end in C become Q-U-E and some words that end in C become something else. So for example, like the word bon, like for if you're a boy, it's B-O-N, and if you're a girl, it's B-O-N-N-E. So again, why could they not have just added on just one E and have it like B-O-N-E? Then, who knows? Who knows why it developed the way it did? So there's some adjectives, again, that are quite manageable because they're the same if it's for a boy or a girl. Then there's some where if you're a girl, it's a little more complicated. And then there's some where if you're a girl, it's like, forget about it. There's so much stuff going on. It's like, it's easier just not to even use that word in the first place. So that's the first thing about adjectives is they describe nouns, and we have to generally make them match if you're a boy or girl, and then if there's like more than one boy and more than one girl. The next thing with adjectives is placement, which is kind of tricky because we have some adjectives at the very top here that I've got in gray that always, well, not even always, like 99% of the time go in front of the noun. And then all of the other adjectives that I have down here in white go after the noun. So stuff like colors and nationalities and personality traits tend to go after the noun. And stuff that goes in front of the noun, I'll just read you off some examples like young, brave, first, bad, short, last, new, kind, old. Those are some of the words that go in front. But here's like an even crazier little tidbit, is that we have some words up here in blue where if they're in front of the noun, they mean something. And if they're after the noun, they mean something totally different. So here's a perfect example is the word terrible. So if it's in front, let me find it, it means awful. So if I were to say, c'est un terrible film, then I'm saying it's a terrible film. But if I use the word terrible after the nouns, if I were to say, oh, c'est un film terrible, literally I'm still saying it's a film terrible, is what it looks like in English. But in this case, it means like awesome. And I guess it's kind of how we use the word wicked. Like if I were to say it's a wicked witch, you'd be like, ooh, scary witch. If I were to say that film is wicked, you wouldn't be like, ooh, was it scary? You just know it was a really good movie. So it's really bizarre how there's some words that generally always go in front, and then there's some words that always definitely go after. And then you have like a small handful of words that can go before and after, but they have a slightly different meaning if it's before and after. And then there's even times where they'll have a word that generally goes after, but if you put it in front, it's because you're really trying to emphasize a certain quality of that adjective. So the big predicament for us as English speakers is even just the placement. Where do these adjectives go? So just to show you another interesting thing here is, first of all, where it goes, and then once it goes there, what do we do with it? So say, for example, I'm trying to say the girl, and now I'm trying to qualify her as she's the smart girl. So let me just, hopefully this works. I can move this. Ah, perfect. So we have to decide, is it going to go in front or behind? And the word intelligent in French, just for some reason it goes behind. I don't know who decided that that's where it would go, and it goes behind. But now that it goes behind, we still kind of new to this whole smartboard thing. There we are. Now that it goes behind, we actually have to make the word intelligent match the word girl. And because there's room for an E at the end, we're going to put in an E, and now it's correct. It's in the right spot, and it is now correctly, it's conjugated, or it correctly matches the noun. So the same thing, now we're going to take the word big. Whoops. This is craziness. And I'm going to take the word big, and the word big happens to go in front. And again, it was who decided that? Who knows? They actually have an acronym for it. It's like BAGS, and it's supposed to stand for beauty, age, goodness, and size. And generally, if you can fit a word into one of those columns, then the word goes in front of the noun. The adjectives go in front of the noun. And if it's not, it has nothing to do with BAGS, beauty, age, goodness, or size, then it goes after. But again, there's all sorts of questions. Like I'll have students say, well, they're like, well, Canadians are known for being really good, so can I put Canadian in front? Well, no, because in theory, Canadian just has to do with your political and, whatever. It's the country that you're from. It's not, I mean, you may be a good Canadian, but doesn't mean because you're Canadian, you're good. So anyways, so in this case, and again, a big part of this is just memorization. It's not always like looking at the word and thinking, that is a logical place for that word to go. You just kind of have to look at it and think, okay, well, this is where this piece of paper is telling me is where it should go, so that's where I'm going to put it. So in this case, the word big goes in front of the word boy, so that's where we're going to put it. And because it's a man and it's on his own, we don't add anything. No ending goes on, no extra E, no extra S, no nothing. So it's kind of nice. In this case here, now we're looking at the girls. Nice second. Okay, so now I have to decide where am I going to put the word beautiful. So I'm saying beautiful girls. And I want to put it up here. But one of the things you can generally tell in French is that if they make something plural, generally something somewhere else is also going to have to be plural. So because this word is plural and this word is plural, chances are there's another word somewhere that I'm going to have to make plural as well. Because it's a girl and it already ends in an E, I don't have to add an extra E. And just actually while we're on this, if you see a word that ends with an accent, you can put another E on it. But if you see a word that already ends in E, never gets an extra E. So here we have the beautiful girls, and it's matching in terms of how feminine it is, but now we need it to match in terms of how plural it is. So I'm just going to put an S on it as les belles filles, and now I'm finished with that one. So again, here we are kind of back to our Canadian example. Generally, nationalities go at the end. So I'm going to put my nationality here. So it's les garçons canadiens. Just make sure you guys can still see that. So it's les garçons canadiens. And now we just have to, sorry, my big hair is cutting off all these words here. We just have to make sure that Canadien matches the boys, because we have, let's just move this over here. We have a plural word, and now all of a sudden a singular word, and so that's not going to work. So because the word Canadian is describing the boys are Canadian, these two words have to be equal. They have to show the same thing. And if one word is showing gender and the other word is not showing gender, then you have a problem. The nice thing though is that with the word boy, we don't add anything else to it. So the gender is matching because both of them are basically gender free, but now they have to match in terms of the number. So the fact that we have multiple boys, we now need to show that they're still multiply Canadian. So the minute one gets an S, the other one gets an S. So in a nutshell, this is adjectives. So let me just bring you back to the chart here. So the big dilemma, the big struggle you need to know in order to manage adjectives is basically remembering not only how they work if you're making them match in terms of gender and number, but also does it go before the adjective or after. So again, remember, typically as a rule, it's like beauty, age, goodness, and size go in front of the noun. Most other things like color and nationality and personality traits go after the noun. But again, there's always little exceptions. So this is probably one of the easier areas in which to mess up. It's just really complicated. So don't beat yourself up over it if you're struggling with this concept. But basically just try and remember what they mean, where they go, and what the endings are. So, and if you're really struggling with some of the stuff on the right-hand side, I would say start by memorizing as much stuff as you can, like from the left-hand column where, like, for example, like the word red or sincere or sensible, rebellious, plastic, all those kind of words that work the same for boys and girls, and then you actually never have to remember if you're going to put an E on or not, because it already has an E, and it already works for males and females. So that would be my tip, and good luck. Thanks.